Adrian, be on the boat on Friday with Murray, and if so, what would your Subway order?
No, I didn't get the invite actually. I had the combine on, which meant Kingers and Jace didn't come down. They were doing better things than speaking to the draftees. But from what I believe, it went well. Obviously, it was great for those guys to have a chance to meet up with Clayton up in Sydney. Obviously, it happened late, but it was a great opportunity for those guys to have that conversation with him, and then we'll go from there.
So from there, is he someone you are willing to pursue, and you're going to get chips in on bringing him to the footy club?
We're still working through it. It was only Thursday afternoon that, it popped. So, we obviously wanted to get in front of him and have that discussion first and foremost, which was Friday afternoon, and it's Monday morning. We haven't really had a chance to debrief and work through what the next steps would be. Obviously, from our point of view, we've got to work out if it's something we're going to pursue, but for Clayton, it's the same thing. He's got other options and he's open to that.
He's one of the highest paid players in the AFL. Would you be willing to take on that salary?
Oh, look, I think through the conversations with his manager, from our point of view, it would be a challenge to have those conversations and bring him in if it was the full salary. So if it was to happen and he wanted to come to the Giants, I think there seems to be some level of discussion around Melbourne contributing part of it.
How do you see Clayton and Tom Green fitting the same midfield?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we've had that discussion. I think when you get a chance to bring in a potential A-grade midfielder, we'll make it work. I think they are very similar, but I think, Tom's worked a lot on his transition game in the past. He's not just a stoppage mid anymore, and I think if you think about Clayton at his best, it's the contest ability as well as his transition ability, which is, what we think appeals. Having Tom and Finn, we've got a great 1-2 punch, but to add someone like Clayton would be a pretty good third banana, I would have thought.
If it's not Clayton, will you look at someone similar like Jack Steele or another midfielder like Todd?
I think until we establish where we sit on the Clayton one, it's hard to have those conversations about other options. At the moment, Clayton is more of a focus for us than Jack, but we'll work through that over the course of the week. At the moment, though, I'd say it's probably more unlikely with Jack, given our midfield mix.
Has Clayton given you sort of any indication on whether it might be somewhere he'd like to come? I understand he's going overseas, so he's probably wanting to make a decision soonish.
Yeah, we've had no indication. I think, it's all still fresh for him as well. So he's got to work through his options, and there are other options popping up. So he's open to have those conversations and work through it. We'll be there waiting, but we're also in the background ourselves doing our work to make sure it is for us.
Josh Kelly, where's that at the moment, and does the potential for him to miss a large chunk of next year add weight to the need to target a mid?
I think they're two separate things. Josh is going to need to have hip resurfacing, which is going to rule him out for 6 months plus. But I don't think that changes our strategy for next year. We believe we've still got the core of a group that's good enough to win it, even if Josh is out for the bulk of next year. So whether it's Clayton or it's not, we still believe we're able to cover for Josh's absence, given that he missed the majority of this year and we played some pretty good footy. So yes, it's disappointing on his behalf, but hopefully with that surgery, he can get himself back to his best for the last few years of his contract.
What are you guys looking for in a deal for Lenga Lear?
We've had initial discussions with St Kilda. They've got a lot on, so it's not something I see progressing early in the week. We'd rather sort of wait and see what happens with some of their other deals and what ends up in their hand. But we're open-minded. We're not sitting here going to be asking for a pick inside the first 15, but we're also not going to be accepting something at the back end that we're not going to use. So it'll land somewhere in the middle, but that's probably something that we'll have to sort of work through over the next 10 days.